You want three?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, you and then you. All right.
And what about me, sir?
Yes, we will get to you, no problem.
Sir, should I begin from the Garden of Eden?
You can sit down and read, no problem. Yeah.
Can I stand and read, sir?
If you want to, yes.
The Garden of Eden. At some point, something must have come from nothing. Sophie Amundsen was on her way home from school. She had walked the first part of the way with Joanna. They had been discussing robots. Joanna thought the human brain was like an advanced computer. Sophie was not certain she agreed. Surely, a person was more than a piece of hardware. When they got to the supermarket, they went their separate ways. Sophie lived on the outskirts of a sprawling suburb and had almost twice as far to school as Joanna. There were no other houses beyond her garden, which made it seem as if her house lay at the end of the world. This was where the woods began. She turned the corner into Clover Close. At the end of the road, there was a sharp bend, known as Captain's Bend. People seldom went that way except on the weekend. It was early May. In some of the gardens, the fruit trees were encircled with dense clusters of daffodils. The birches were already in pale green leaf. It was extraordinary how everything burst forth at this time of year. What made this great mass of green vegetation come welling up from the dead earth as soon as it got warm and the last traces of snow disappeared? As Sophie opened her garden gate, she looked in the mailbox. There was usually a lot of junk mail and a few big envelopes for her mother, a pile to dump on the kitchen table before she went up to her room to start her homework. From time to time, there would be a few letters from the bank for her father, but then he was not a normal father. Sophie's father was the captain of a big oil tanker and was away for most of the year. During the few weeks at a time when he was at home, he would shuffle around the house, making it nice and cozy for Sophie and her mother. But when he was at sea, he could seem very distant. There was only one letter in the mailbox, and it was for Sophie. The white envelope read, Sophie Amundsen, 3 Clover Close. That was all. It did not say who it was from. There was no stamp on it either. As soon as Sophie had closed the gate behind her, she opened the envelope. It contained only a slip of paper no bigger than the envelope. It read, Who are you? Nothing else, only the 3 words, written by hand and followed by a large question mark. She looked at the envelope again. The letter was definitely for her. Who could have dropped it in the mailbox? Sophie let herself quickly into the red house. As always, her cat Shirkan managed to slink out of the bushes, jump onto the front step, and slip in through the door before she closed it behind her. Whenever Sophie's mother was in a bad mood, she would call the house they lived in a menagerie. A menagerie was a collection of animals. Sophie certainly had one and was quite happy with it. It had begun with the 3 goldfish, Goldtop, Red Riding Hood, and Blackjack. Next, she got 2 Bergeriggers called Smith and Smil, then Govinda the tortoise, and finally the marmalade cat Shuriken. They had all been given to her to make up for the fact that her mother never got home from work until late in the afternoon, and her father was away so much, sailing all over the world.
Okay, so
Thank you, sir.
so we learned a few things here. So Sophie's at home most of the time,
Yes, sir.
alone. Her parents are never really there for her. Her father works away,
Yes, sir.
you know. So her father is usually at home. Her mother also works.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So her parents aren't usually there, and to make up for the fact that her parents aren't there, her parents had allowed her to keep
And 3
Pets,
pets.
animals.
basically.
Yeah.
So basically a bunch of things like a tortoise, a cat, budgerigars. I don't, to be honest, I don't know what a budgerigar is. I have to look it up.
Probably, yes.
And then what else? Goldfish. What's up with you guys? Calm down. What happened?
Teacher, I'm doing this when I was doing here.
Why don't you have it? What number class is this? Do you know? This is like a third class.
Yes, sir.
I asked you guys to bring the book in the first class.
Yes,
Right?
sir. But আমি পাইনি দেখে আনতে পারিনি কিন্তু যেহেতু স্যার করতে কি স্যার
Forget about it. Just sit properly.
ওকে থ্যাংক ইউ
I said sit properly. What kind of
স্যার আই ডোন্ট হ্যাভ বুক আমি তো কিভাবে ক্লাস করব
There's nothing you can do. Just sit properly.
ওকে
You guys sit and listen. There's nothing you guys can do here. So this is how basically Sophie keeps herself company with the animals around her.
Yes, sir.
And one day she gets a letter. This letter is addressed to her. It is unknown. The sender's information is unknown. But she knows that she is the one it was addressed to. Okay, who wants to read? Continue.
Whenever Sophie's mother was in a bad
No, we read this part. Sophie slung her school bag.
Sophie slung her school bag on the floor and put a ball on a cat food,
Bowl of cat food.
out for shaken. Then she sat down on a kitchen stool with the mysterious letter in her hand. Who are you? She had no idea. She was Sophie Amundsen, of course, but who was that? She had not really figured out yet. What if she had been given a different name?
And
Anderson. For instance, would she then have been someone else? She suddenly remembered that Dad had originally wanted her to be called Lily Moore. Sophie tried to imagine herself shaking hands and introducing herself as Lily Moore Amundsen. But it seemed all wrong. It was someone else who kept introducing herself.
Sir, can I share you? Okay. Here I feel suffocated.
What for?
গরম লাগতেছে এটা খারাপ লাগতেছে না একটু ওইখানে বসতে চাচ্ছি
No Bangla. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
She jumped up and went into the bathroom with a strange letter in her hand. She stood in front of the mirror and stared into her own eyes. I am Sophie Amundsen, she said. The girl in the mirror did not react with as much as a twitch. Whatever Sophie did, she did exactly the same. Sophie tried to beat her reflection to it with a lightning movement, but the other girl was just as fast. Who are you? Sophie asked. She received no response to this either, but felt a momentary confusion as to whether it was she or her reflection who had asked the question. Sophie pressed her index finger to the nose in the mirror and said, "You are me." As she got no answer to this, she turned the sentence around and said, "I am you."
Okay. So a few things. These are all philosophical questions that she is asking herself. So the question of if I had been called somebody else, would I still be me? So for example, Sophie's name is Sophie Amundsen, and if she was called Lily Moore, would she have been a different person?
No.
Or if she was called Anna Knudsen, would she have been a different person?
Not at all.
Not at all. Why do you guys think so?
This is just a
She's
name,
just
not
the same person, but the name is different.
Maybe the name has something
Yes,
to do with the
that could be
personality.
happened.
Hmm?
That could be
that could happen, right? So these are not very straightforward. We don't have straightforward answers to these questions, right? So there are forked answers. There are multiple different answers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are all difficult, questions to answer. All right, continue.
So we praised her index letter. As she got answer to this, she turned the sentence around and said, I am you. Sophie Amundsen was often dissatisfied with her appearance. She was frequently told that she had beautiful almond-shaped eyes. But that was probably just something people say because her nose was too small and her mouth was a bit too big. And her ears were much too close to her eyes. Worst of all was her straight hair, which it was impossible to do anything with. Sometimes her father would stroke her hair and call her the girl with the flaxen hair. After a piece of music by Claude Debussy, it was all right for him. He was not condemned to living with this straight hair. Neither
Straight dark hair.
But
Which is
here
straight
it's
hair.
only straight hair.
is there any dark?
No, there's straight hair.
Just straight hair. Okay, maybe there's some textual difference. Let me continue. No problem.
Neither Mossy nor styling gel had the slight.
It's not mousse, it's mousse.
Mousse.
Mousse or styling gel.
Mousse or styling gel had the slightest effect on Sophie's hair. Sometimes she thought she was so ugly that she wondered if she was malformed at birth. Her mother always went on about her difficult labor, but was that really what determined how he looked?
Yes. So another interesting thing, you see all the question. There's a question mark after. There are lots of question marks in this book
Yes.
because there are lots of questions. And at this point, we not only get a description of Sophie, so we also learn that Sophie is kind of dissatisfied with her appearance. Okay? Sophie is dissatisfied with her appearance, and Sophie knows that her mother had a difficult, had difficulty giving birth to her. Okay? And she's thinking if this difficulty might have contributed to how she looks. What do you guys think?
I feel she's overthinking.
If you feel she's overthinking, but do you not think that it might be a possibility?
Yes,
that
of course, it may be a possibility, sir.
It's all about confusion and confusion.
But we don't exactly know how she looks like. There's no description provided as to how she looks.
No, what are you talking about? You
There
haven't
is
been
She
listening. Look,
described her appearance.
look, and she was frequently told that she had beautiful almond-shaped eyes,
Right. That I
and her
mean,
ears were much too close to her eyes. Worst of all, was her straight hair, which it was impossible to do anything with.
I mean, yes, sir, but this is not what the writer is explaining what she looks like. This is what someone else's perspective is at the end of the
Straight
day.
hair is also good.
Right. I mean, if other people are calling her beautiful, but she's thinking that she doesn't look that good.
No. I was not talking about beautiful. I was talking about description of appearance.
Oh, description of appearance.
Again, what's going on? What's going on here? You guys are not going to bring the book, and you guys are not talking to that, right? Is that what you guys want to do? No, sir. All right. So what I was saying is that we get a description, at least.
Right.
Whether she is beautiful or ugly is maybe subjective.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I can agree with that, but but we do get a description. Don't
Yes, sir.
don't
Yes,
say we didn't get a description.
Right, sir.
Where was I? Yes.
Determine how you.
Wasn't it odd? Wasn't it odd?
Wasn't it odd that she didn't know who she was? And wasn't it unreasonable that she didn't have been allowed to have any say in what she would look like? Her looks had just been dumped on her. She could choose her own friends, but she certainly hadn't chosen herself. She had not even chosen to be a human being.
She hadn't chosen to be a human being even.
So that is a very
So basically, we get a very deterministic worldview. You guys know what deterministic means?
Not exactly,
Is it similar to
sir.
Something that is fixed or like
Fixed.
yeah.
Yes.
As it
Determinism as opposed to what's the opposite of determinism? Freedom. Let's say.
Liberty, freedom, yes, sir.
Yes. So determinism is the idea that everything is predetermined. Freedom, on the other side,
Everything is fixed before.
yes, kind of like that. Yes, fixed from before. So on the other side, there's the other camp. The other camp believes that no, everything is not fixed. You have some free will, and you're using your free will. You can sort of make changes to the direction that you're going. And then there's a third camp which believes in both, a bit of both. All right. Do you guys know the Islamic perspective on this?
Yes, sir.
Islamic perspective on whether
On
we should.
determinism and free will.
I think it's called takdir.
I know this much that Allah has provided us a certain degree of free will. Otherwise, there would be no point of this world being a test. But I also know that to some extent everything is written.
Yes. So basically, in Islamic philosophy or Islamic thought, the idea is that everything is both determined and there is human beings have free will.
Yes.
So yes. So for example, the apocalypse, ideas of the apocalypse or
The judgment
things
day.
like the judgment day. It's written. We cannot. Our actions cannot change it.
Yes, sir.
But but some of the little things that we do can change the trajectory of our lives.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for example, it was let's say you were supposed to die after a while, but you were, let's say, good to your neighbor. It might change your trajectory, and you may die a bit later instead of dying soon. So these sort of little things, these things you can sort of influence.
It's just unfortunate.
Yes, sir. Allah says in the Quran, whatever good you do it to the goodness of your own soul, and whatever evil you do it to the demerit of your own soul.
Exactly. So it is like that. So we have a degree of free will,
Yes,
but there are some things that are predetermined.
Predetermined, yes, sir.
Okay. Where was I?
What was a human being?
What was a human being?
Sophie looked up at the girl in the mirror again. I think I will go upstairs and do my biology homework, she said, almost apologetically. Once she was out in the hall, she thought, no, I'd rather go out in the garden.
Okay, what do you guys think of this part?
This in her hand.
Hmm?
She can do either this or
Okay. And
Kitty.
okay. No. Wait. I want to get some responses from you guys. What was a human being? How does Sophie respond to this?
She can make her decision own.
In the book, tell me. What's Sophie's response to the question of what was a human being?
A human being is someone who can do whatever.
What is Sophie's response? Is what I'm asking you guys.
Sophie chose to do something and then she chose to do another thing.
What is this thing and the other thing?
Contradictory mindset, sir.
Oh, tell me
The
exactly
exact
what
one.
he.
She wanted to go upstairs and do her homework, biology homework. Then she decided, almost apologetically, as if, she thought that she would go to the garden.
Okay, why did she think about biology homework?
Because it was something she was obliged to do, like she was supposed to do her
being a
homework.
human being, her mind was set with the human stuff, so
She has a point. So look, so she asks herself the question, what is a human being?
Yes, sir.
And the first thing that pops into her mind is biology. Biology is the study of living beings.
Oh, living beings, okay, right.
You guys see the connection?
Right.
Yes, she does have biology homework,
Sir?
but it does not.
can I pick up my phone outside?
Yes, you can go outside.
Yes, sir.
You guys get the connection here,
Yes,
right?
sir, yes, sir, I understand
So
biology and.
it's not coincidental, or it's not just just something that just suddenly happens.
Right.
Human psychology.
Yes. One idea leads us to another idea.
Kitty. Sophie chased the cat out onto the doorstep and closed the front door behind her. As she stood outside on the gravel path with the mysterious letter in her hand,
The strangest
feeling came over her. She felt like a dog that had suddenly been brought to life by the wave of a manic rat. Wasn't it extraordinary to be in the world right now, wandering around in a wonderful adventure? Shirikan sprang lightly across the gravel and slid into a dense clump of red currant bushes. A live cat, vibrant with energy from its wide whisker to the twitching tail at the end of its sleek body. It was here in the garden too, but hardly aware of it in the same way as Sophie. As Sophie started to think about being alive, she began to realize that she would not be alive forever. I am in the world now, she thought, but one day I shall be gone. Was there a life after death? This was another question that Kat was blissfully unaware of.
Okay, do you guys agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The cats have no conception of life after death.
Yes, sir. They cannot think.
Why do you think so?
I mean, it's not that they, I feel, my opinion is, it's not that they cannot think, but it's just they do not have the same, what can I say, concepts we have developed. I mean, we believe that there is life after that. We have not seen it. Right.
Yes.
The cat does not worry about that.
Have you talked to a cat?
No, but I have a,
Not really,
okay,
but-
true. That's a good point. I have a lot of cats though. I have around 8, sir.
Huh?
I have
Have you talked to them?
No, I haven't.
Sir,
if
according to
meowing
our activities,
counts.
we can
No, sir.
assume that.
Sir,
We can assume that according to their activities.
but so there is a saying that like God has gifted, like God have made human being as a like Jidek ashraful makhlukat as so we can think, we can believe things, but the thing is, I don't think cats have the same perception like human being.
But that does God say that you are Ashraful
Not about the
Makhlukat?
animal. Actually,
And because you're Ashraful Makhlukat, you are the only ones who can conceive life after death.
not really, sir. The thing is, we can think, we can believe, but I don't think that cats and dogs or any kind of animal can do that.
No, why? You have to give a reason for
Why?
this.
Well, I
This is
mean,
what I'm trying to tease out of you guys.
I mean, in all honesty, in religious terms, let's say as per our beliefs, or at least my belief, if Allah is saying that they have their own way of submission, we don't know what they're thinking exactly, sir. We can't, because they have their own way of worship, they have their own
What does
life.
that indicate? They understand. They have a conception of life after that, or they don't have it.
If they're submitting to the greater will, Allah's will, then definitely they have some concept of spiritual nature, I guess. But that's a subjective opinion again, sir.
No, I want to know about your subjective opinions.
I would
didn't
not
think it before, sir. We didn't think it before.
No, that's why we're having this discussion, right? We're gonna think now.
They are cats. This doesn't apply to them. Like they're
Why not? No. The question is always why not?
Yeah, because they are.
Because they're cats.
Because they're inferior beings, what?
They're cats.
Because they're cats, they're not that important.
No.
Oh my god.
No, it's not. So could you please give us the exact idea of what's happening here? What's
So
happening here?
you are confusing us.
I guess
No,
you're making us confused.
no.
So it's making us think.
No, I'm not confusing. I'm not here to confuse. My job is to get answers out of you. But you have to, when you, let's say for example, you say, I don't think cats have a conception of life after death. And I want you guys to back it up with good reason.
Because we have a purpose that we have to fulfill. That's why we have this kind of ending to us, for us, like a result.
Cats don't have purpose.
Well, the cats don't, no,
Not
not
this
that.
purpose, sir.
Like cats don't have the same purpose as us. Like we have a job in here, but cats
Cats
don't.
don't have a job.
And like the job is like a religious job.
When there's a mother cat, her purpose becomes to protect her children.
I'm talking about the main purpose of like actual Muslim human beings.
They are not Muslim cats.
Oh.
Non-Muslim cats. I think they're. Wait, there's
If,
religion.
if God Almighty, if Allah is saying that these creatures, every creature submits to His will in some way. So Muslim means a submitter
Yeah.
to God's. So
But
if the cats are submitting theirs,
So, do you
same
think
as
there are
us.
Muslim cats and non-Muslim cats?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they even understand what a Muslim thing is.
Okay. Okay, you don't think
They are
so?
cats. They're
Okay,
cats.
fine. We will discuss this later. So
Yes,
let's
sir.
keep going. Okay, you can read now.
Oh, okay, sir.
It was not long
It
since.
was.
Not long since.
Oh, I got it. It was not long since Sophie's grandmother had died. For more than 6 months, Sophie had missed her every single missed. Sorry, sir. It was not long since Sophie's grandmother had died. For more than 6 months, Sophie had missed her every single day. How unfair that life had to end. Sophie stood on that gravel path, thinking. She tried to think extra hard about being alive so as to forget that she could not be alive forever. But it was impossible. As soon as she concentrated on being alive now, the thought of dying also came into her mind. The same thing happened the other way around, only by conjuring up an
Conjuring up.
intense. Sorry, sir.
No,
Conjuring.
no, conjuring.
Conjuring. Okay, conjuring up an intense feeling of one day being dead. Could she appreciate how terrible good it was to be alive? It was like two sides of a coin that she kept turning over and over. And the bigger and clearer one side of the coin became, the bigger and the clearer the other side of became too.
Okay, so what is Sophie thinking here? Tell me.
Sophie's thinking about
Life and death.
life
About
after
his
death and being
afterlife,
alive.
and she's thinking that like a coin, when it.
She's
shuffle-
comparing her life like before death and after death.
She
With a
hasn't
coin.
died yet. How can she
No,
compare?
she's thinking about, and she's just like comparing with a coin, two sides of a coin.
I mean, I don't know if it's paraphrasing, but it feels like she's thinking about death, but only when she's thinking about the conclusion of her life is she valuing the time she has alive.
Exactly. So basically, the idea is that you cannot value life if you're not going to die. Let's say if you were to be alive forever, you would not value it, right? Things that we take for granted, we cannot value, like the air we breathe, like water, drinking water. In some regions, people have a scarcity of water. They value water a lot. We have lots of water. We don't value it. Air, we don't value, because
That's the conclusion that cats can come towards, you know.
yes,
That's the conclusion that cats can come up with. Cats.
How do
Cannot.
we
They
know
can come
that?
up with.
how do you talk to one? That's a question I'm gonna ask.
Well, I'm just using common sense.
But maybe you're using assumptions.
Yeah, obviously, assumptions.
Can cats dream?
Yes.
Well, yeah, they can. I mean, a YouTuber said so.
Your source is one YouTuber
Also, he said it too.
And the YouTuber had seen it.
What?
YouTuber saw it.
Another YouTuber said it.
YouTuber saw it that a cat has a dream.
How can a YouTuber see a cat's dream?
I asked her that why did he answer this question?
Okay, tell me.
No, I don't know, sir.
He didn't get the answer yet.
You didn't get the answer.
No.
Which YouTuber is this? Bangladeshi YouTuber or a foreign YouTuber?
I don't know.
She
will
knows
answer.
about it.
No, I don't know.
Some YouTube shorts. Like, did you know that cats can dream? Kind of like that.
Oh my God. Please.
Should I continue, sir?
Yes, please.
You can't experience being alive without realizing that you have to die, she thought. But it's just as impossible to realize you have to die without thinking how incredibly amazing it is to be alive. Sophie remembered Granny saying something like that the day the doctor told her she was ill. I never realized how rich life was until now, she said. How tragic that most people had to get ill before they understood what a gift it was to be alive, or else they had to find a mysterious letter in the mailbox.
Feel like crying, sir.
Actually,
mailbox.
the letter insist her to think.
While other people dismiss illness.
Mm.
Okay. Perhaps she should go and see if any more letters had arrived. Sophie hurried to go to the gate and looked inside the green mailbox. She was startled to find that it contained another white envelope, exactly like the first. But the mailbox had definitely been empty when she took the first envelope. This envelope had her name on it as well. She tore it open and fished out a note the same size as the first one. Where does the world come from? It said.
Okay, let's stop here for a moment
Love
and
this
let's
book.
continue from the next page. Clutching the two envelopes in her hand. We have to skip a bit. Clutching the two envelopes.
I got you. Clutching the two envelopes in her hand, Sophie ran through the garden, crouched down on all fours, and wormed her way through the hedge. The den was almost high enough for her to stand upright, but today she sat down on a clump of gnarled roots. Gnarled roots. From there she could look out through tiny peepholes. What does that mean?
What's the peoples? What's the people?
Very small circular gaps through which they can see to the other side.
Between the twigs and leaves. Although none of the holes was bigger than a small coin, she had a good view of whole garden. When she was little, she used to think it was fun to watch her mother and father searching for her among the trees. Sophie had always thought that garden was a world of its own. Each time she heard about the Garden of Eden in the Bible, it reminded her of sitting here in the den, surveying her own little paradise.
Wow.
Where does the world come from? She hadn't the faintest idea. Sophie knew that the world was only a small planet in space. But where did space come from? It was possible that space had always existed, in which case she could not always need to figure out where it came from. But could anything have always existed? Something deep down inside her protested at the idea. Surely everything that exists must have had a beginning. So space must sometime have been created out of something else. But if space had come from something else, then that something else must also have come from something. Sophie felt she was only differing the problem. At the same point, some things must have come from nothing. But was it possible? Wasn't that just as impossible as the idea that the world had always existed?
Okay, so this is one idea that we should follow through. So the question that is being raised here is, where does the world come from?
Yes.
Okay, and what's her thought process here?
She thought it comes from another, or it exists from the beginning.
Yeah, she considers where the world came from. She starts out by asking the world is just one planet. There are millions, trillions of planets. And then she says that where did space or the universe come from? And she pondered upon whether all of it came from nothing. And if everything originated from nothing, she was just getting confused, I feel, sir.
Okay, so first she thinks about the world.
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay, so first thing she's thinking about the world, right?
Yes, sir.
Then she considers that the world is a place in space.
Yes, sir.
But then the space is also a place. Where did the space come from? Okay, where does the space come from? The space either comes from nothing
Hasn't it always existed?
or something. Because say at some point something must have come from nothing, but was it possible? Something must have come from nothing, but was it possible? She's not sure about this, not sure.
Skeptical.
She's skeptical about this view.
Huh?
Surely everything that exists must have had a beginning. Seems like a possibility. Alright, so we felt that she was only differing the problem. At some point something must have come from nothing, but was it possible? Wasn't that just as impossible as the idea that the world has always existed? So, if she takes this idea, at some point something must have come from nothing. Then the idea that the space then she has to contend with the idea that the space, the world, the universe has always existed. If she considers this view. But this view is also questionable, because
So from nothing, the concept is contradictory?
from nothing, the concept of something being there is contradictory. That's what's bothering her at the end. Because she says, wasn't that just as impossible as the idea that the world has always existed? After she thinks at some point something must have come from nothing. At some point something must have come from nothing. And then she thinks, but was that possible?
So
Wasn't that just as
both
impossible?
question is impossible. Both question is impossible.
Yes, she's questioning this and she's skeptical about it. They had learned at school that God created the world, like we learn at school. Okay? Who wants to read? Continue. They had learned?
They had learned at school that God created the world. Sophie tried to console herself with the thought that this was probably the best solution to the whole problem. But then she started to think again. She could accept that God had created space, but what about God himself? Had he created himself out of nothing?
Okay, so if God creates space, where does God come from? That's the question she's asking herself.
Okay. Again, there was something deep down inside her that protested. Even though God could create all kinds of things, he could hardly create himself before he had a self to create with. So there was only one possibility left. God had always existed. But she had already rejected that possibility. Everything that existed had to have a beginning. Oh, drat. She opened the two envelopes again.
Okay, so basically she's thinking that, okay, fine. She had learned at school that God created the world. But then who created God? Okay, so the question becomes difficult now. Who created God? Somebody has to create God, right? And then and then the idea is, okay, who created God? And then what happens? You guys tell me. What is
Sir, I think there is one point from the God exists.
Did you guys bring the text? I have a question. Did you guys bring the text? You do. The text? Okay. Sit quietly, okay? Don't make any noise.
Sir, my concept might be incorrect, or my understanding might be incorrect over here. But she's questioning whether, if God had created everything, who had created God? She's saying whether everything has a beginning and an end, right? But in my opinion, at least, because I watched Interstellar, and I love that movie. And over there, at least I learned, because I'm not a scientist, that time is a construct or a relative concept, right? For example, in some parts of the universe, time is very different. Like many years may pass, but Earth may still be standing wherever they are.
Time only started from the Big Bang theory.
So,
After the Big Bang, time exists.
so
How do
Before
you
that,
know? How do you know?
Stephen Hawking has said that.
No. Stephen Hawking can say, but how do you know?
right, there is no proof here. What we
He
just
just explained before the Big Bang and
But-
after the Big Bang. He didn't explain, he couldn't explain before the Big Bang theory.
Yeah, but he was not there to see what if something was happening before the Big Bang, right? He's just guessing stuff, right? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
There might have been another universe before the Big Bang, which was destroyed, and then another Big Bang happened.
Perhaps.
So he doesn't really. So long story short, there's no way for him to know if something happened before the Big Bang.
That's right. So Sophie, in Sophie's perspective, she's actually questioning herself. If God was always there, all right, and she came to the conclusion that everything had to have had a beginning, then how did God come to be? I believe that's what she's asking, and she's confused about that.
First she asked herself, okay,
Who am I?
everything needs a beginning.
Right.
So who created God? God cannot create himself, obviously. So then she comes to another idea. Maybe God was always there.
Right.
Yeah, but she's abandoning that idea.
But then she also questions that idea. Well,
Yeah.
how can somebody possibly exist all the time? Something needs to start from somewhere, right?
Yes.
Even God needs to start from somewhere.
That's right.
So she's very confused about this. She's not sure about just a second.
We're just not built to answer these questions.
Hmm?
We're not just built to answer this question. This is like way above our.
So if we enter into this, then there will be. So if we go through this, there will be another question like, if we ask for who started it before God, then there might be a question that who started that, who started that. The question may continue. So far,
I think not everything has a need to be started.
if you want.
Just one point, from one point, all things happen and all things we need to start.
Yes, that is one idea. That is one of the ideas. The other idea is the world was always there.
Not world, but God was always there.
No, the world was always there. Look. This is some of the ideas that she has, in the book.
And she also said God has always existed. Other thing is one possibility.
That is, yes, it is just one possibility.
So should I start?
Yes, continue.
She opened the two envelopes again. Who are you? Where does the world come from?
Okay, these two questions. These are the two major philosophical questions that that philosophers have to contend with. Who are you and where did we come from?
Existential crisis.
Think of this as something that you have to answer in the exam.
Oh no.
We have
Also,
to write a
we
whole
don't know
thesis
about
about
this.
it.
No. Question will be something like,
What Sophie think?
what are the two major philosophical questions for philosophers?
Will you welcome any perspective?
Look, it's a straightforward question. What are the two major questions for philosophers?
Just explain two major.
The two questions are, who are we and where did we come from?
But the
Who am I and
answers,
where we come
I mean, who are you? Fine, I guess it may be objective, but where do we come from?
Where does the world
Where
come
does the
from?
world come
Sorry,
from?
sorry.
It may be a very subjective answer, sir.
What do you mean by subjective answer?
As
These are
in different-
questions. I'm saying questions, not answers.
Oh,
They're not gonna
I'm
answer
not
the
going to
question.
look. I'm not going to ask you guys to answer this. I'm going to ask you guys to tell me what the questions are.
Thank
Oh,
you, sir. You made it easier.
that's weak, sir.
You don't
Come
have to
on.
answer it.
That's nothing.
But I'm happy. I don't wanna just pursue.
I actually thought we were going to give these as the questions.
Okay, next.
What annoying questions. And anyway, where did the letters come from? That was just a mysterious almost. Who had jolted Sophie out of her everyday existence and suddenly brought her face to face with the great riddles of the universe? For the third time, Sophie went to the mailbox. The mailman had just delivered the day's mail. Sophie fished out a bulky pile of junk mail, periodicals, and a couple of letters for her mother. There was also a postcard of a tropical beach. She turned the card over. It had a Norway Norwegian. Sir, what's that?
Norwegian stamp.
Norwegian stamp on it and was postmarked UN Battalion. Could it be from Dad? But wasn't he in a completely different place? It wasn't his handwriting either. Sophie felt
Okay. So let's skip a bit. Okay. Let's skip a bit.
The sender was God himself.
As she closed the gate, okay, in the chapter top hat, keep going until you find as she closed the gate.
As she closed the gate, I got it. As she closed the gate behind her, she noticed her own name on one of the big envelopes. Turning it over, she saw written on the back, "Course in philosophy, handled with care."
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Sir, those are from course.
Yes. She's reading a letter.
That was the marketing.
Yes.
I was thinking it was something mystical, sir, or something fantasy based,
Sir,
or.
was it you, the sender?
Look, I already told you guys at the beginning what this book is about. Did I tell you guys?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
I did not tell you guys. So basically, Sophie is this 15-year-old girl, and an unknown sender sends her a mail with a course on philosophy. And as she goes through these mails, she encounters philosophical questions, and at some point, a person shows up to teach her philosophy, to actually have a conversation with her.
Does she have to pay for it?
No, she doesn't have to pay for
We're
it.
paying for this
Sir,
course.
then she joined the course and
Yes, of course she joins the course. Like she is given the choice: do you want to do this course or not do this course?
She already wants answers, sir.
Yes.
She already wants answers, sir.
Yes, exactly. So she decides that, okay, fine, I'm lonely most of the time, I think I'll take this course. You guys get my point. Nothing mystical going on, this is just fun stuff.
I almost thought that the sender was the
Yeah,
God
but it was
himself.
something cosmic.
It was the God
Oh,
himself, like writing a letter.
very good marketing, sir.
Continue.
Sophie ran up the gravel path and flung her school bag onto the step. Stuffing the other letters under the doormat, she ran around into the back garden and sought refuge in the den. This was the only place to open the big letter. The shuriken came jumping after her, but Sophie had to put up with that. She knew the cat would not give her away. Inside the envelope, there were 3 typewritten pages held together with a paper clip. Sophie began to read.
What is philosophy?
What is philosophy?
Yes.
Dear Sophie, lots of people have hobbies. Some people collect old coins or foreign stamps. Some do needlework. Others spend most of their spare time on a particular sport. A lot of people enjoy reading, but reading tastes differ widely. Some people only read newspapers or comics. Some like reading novels, while others prefer books on astronomy, wildlife, or technological discoveries. If I happen to be interested in horses or precious stones, I cannot expect everyone else to share my enthusiasm. If I watch all the sports program on TV with great pleasure, I must put up with the fact that the other people find sports boring. Is there nothing that interests us all? Is there nothing that concerns everyone, no matter who they are or where they live in the world? Yes, dear Sophie, there are questions that certainly should interest everyone. They are preciously the questions this course is about. What is the most important thing in life? If we ask someone living on the edge of starvation, the answer is food. If we ask someone dying of cold, the answer is warmth. If we put same question to someone who feels lonely and isolated, the answer will probably be the company of other people. But when these basic needs have been satisfied, will there still be something that everybody needs? Philosophers think so. They believe that man cannot live by bread alone. Of course, everyone needs food and everyone needs love and care. But there is something else apart from that, which everyone needs, and that is to figure out who we are and why we are here. Being interested in why we are here is not a casual interest like collecting stamps. People who ask such questions are taking part in a debate that has gone on as long as man has lived on this planet. How the universe, the earth, and life came into being is a bigger and more important question than who won the most gold medals in the last Olympics. The best way of approaching philosophy is to ask a few philosophical questions. How was the world created? Is there any will or meaning behind what happens? Is there a life after death? How can we answer these questions? And most importantly, how ought we to live? People have been asking these questions throughout the ages. We know of no culture which has not concerned itself with what man is and where the world come from.
Okay, so this is another part of philosophy that I would like to focus on. So he says the best way of approaching philosophy is to ask a few philosophical questions. What are these questions? How was the world created?
Is there any will?
Or meaning behind what happens? Is there a life after death? How can we answer these questions? And most important, how ought we to live? Okay. So another question that might pop up: what is the best way to approach philosophy? Basically,
By questioning these questions. By questioning these questions.
yes, by asking these
By
questions.
asking these questions.
Not questioning these questions, by asking these questions.
Yes.
We could question these questions, to be honest, if you want, but in the class, after we've decided that these are worth questioning.
So aren't there going to be any hardcore, difficult questions, existential crisis based?
Well, there are. No, you get those the more interesting stuff at the end.
All right, so it's such a good book, though, sir. It's such a good book so far, and I think we're at the start. So
It's like, if you guys want to get to the interesting part, you guys have to, like at the end maybe where you've gotten to Freud, Sigmund Freud,
So this book only
psychoanalysis.
for midterm?
Hmm?
This book only for midterm?
No, we're gonna go through this for the entire term.
got it, sir.
Alright?
Then we can finish it.
Sir, she can finish this book in 2 weeks, by the way. She
That's-
reads a lot.
You should be able to finish this in 4 days.
Really?
We still start this.
This is just this is what, how many, 500 words? 500 pages?
Almost something like that. 4:30, I believe, sir.
No, yes, sir.
Try to finish it. If you guys are readers, I don't know which one of you are readers, but if you guys are readers, finish it in 5-6 days.
6 days.
Don't wait for 2 weeks. 2 weeks
Alright.
is
No, I
too
can
long.
finish it in 2 days actually. I'm a big reader, like an avid reader.
Okay, so I would recommend that you try to understand what is being
Take
said
notes
also.
on it.
Instead of what I used to do is, when I was young, what I used to do is I used to read a lot of books, but I didn't really think a lot about what I read. I just
I
read
like to
for.
annotate, like if you annotate, you're gonna study it even more.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
exactly.
a better way, yeah.
Exactly, that's a better way. So after I came to university,
Yes, sir.
so the teacher started explaining, started digging deep into the environmental factors, the time and climate in which the book was produced, the author, etc., etc. And you see, that kind of made me think that maybe I need to really think about what I'm reading, and then it started to take a bit of time. But again, I'm going to say that don't take too much time. Try to finish it quickly so that we can get the most of it. If you guys finish it quickly, and if you guys thoughtfully read it,
Yes, sir.
maybe we can get a lot out of this course.
Understood,
Hopefully.
sir.
Yes. Why don't you start?
Yes, sir.
Basically.
Sorry?
I think he would like to
He
read.
wants to read research.
Again, look, here's the thing. You guys are not allowed to use phones in the class. Okay? Please get the text quickly, okay? Because I don't like this any more than you do.
Basically.
I want everybody to quickly come to the class, bring the text, and then we can all study together.
Basically, there are
Basic
not
needs.
many philosophies.
Sir, should I? Basically, there are not many philosophical questions to ask. We have already asked some of the most important ones, but history presents us with many different answers to each question. So it is easier to ask philosophical questions than to answer them.
Okay, so let's stop here. I'm
Yes,
sorry
sir.
because I just noticed that time is up.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's really difficult to, you know, like do a lot in 1 hour. I wish we had more time.
Every
So
sentence is
we
so
wish we are
intuitive in the book,
It
sir.
doesn't feel like an alternative.
We wish we are in the regular batch.
Yeah, I wish you guys were in the regular batch too because they have 1 hour 30 minutes, and I covered quite a bit with them. Okay.
Yes, sir. Such a
So,
good book, though, sir. Such a good
I would recommend you guys read at least up until page 36,
Page 36.
at least.
So
All right,
please
sir.
take attendance.
Yes, I'm going to take attendance.
Democritus.
Where's the-
Huh? Last. Take my phone. Give her a call. I don't have her number saved at least.
Let's start.
Sir, you don't need to write the name. Only, sir, you can write
No,
the.
but I have been asked to do this. Okay, do you understand?
Sir, basically, we before this term we write this. We wrote this sheet by own.
I understand, but look, I've been told by the department that take this. Make sure you remember everyone's names and faces.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yes, please turn it off.